Hello, Thrive Nation. This is the Made to Thrive show, and it's SteveStavs, Africa's pro biohacker, and I got an incredible show for you because I got one of my absolute voices in South Africa that I listen to, and his name's Mic Mann, and he is co-CEO of the Singularity University South Africa and co-founder of Mann Made experiential brand agency. He's an exponential thinker, and it's a privilege to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, Mick.
Steve, thanks for having me. Great to be with you.
And I'm excited what Singularity University is doing. I'm excited with what's happening AI in South Africa. Just give us a little bit of your backstory, how you got involved in Singularity. Tell us about your experiential brand agency and what you're doing to improve the lives of Africans.
Sure. So, yeah, we got involved. I've always been a lover of tech, and I think it came from when I was a young kid. When I was 4 years old, I was growing too fast. And I had to have my legs up in the hospital for 4 months.
Wow.
And I couldn't move. So my mom bought me a little robot. And on this robot, I could pull down the robotic arm and record a minute-long message and then drive the robot over and play the message to whoever. So, since then, I've had this incredible love for technology and robotics and all things tech. And we've, over the last 23 years, we've been running a brand experience agency called Mann Made, working with some of the top corporate companies in South Africa and across the globe in various forms and fashions, from events to campaigns and that sort of thing. And I had read this book called The Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil and been fascinated by this crazy website in those days. It wasn't even a real website, the Singularity University website. And just all these things that Ray was talking about, these exponentials and the way the world is going. And in 2015, we were fortunate enough as Mann Made to get introduced to Singularity University through Barclays, through Stephen Van Coller brought Singularity out for a custom program, which is a closed learning experience that we do for, diving deep into certain tech or deep tech problems. And I told my partner and brothers, Kevin and Shane, we have to do this event. It's going to change our lives, and we have to win this tender. And we'll end up winning that tender, doing that custom program where some of the greatest thought leaders we brought out for that event. It was in May 2015. Peter came out, Salim Ismail, some of the original OGs of Singularity University in those days. And then the following 6 months later, another big bank in South Africa wanted to bring Singularity out for their top leaders for a closed custom program. And Singularity said, those are the guys we work with in South Africa, because they really enjoyed working with us and what we did for them. So we ended up doing that program in December 2015. And, after that, at that program, just something interesting that you're making me think about is Brock Pierce. We brought Brock Pierce out, who's probably one of the leading experts in crypto and Bitcoin. And he showed me how to buy my first Bitcoin, Kraken, in 2015 on Kraken. And it was really strange in those days. So, after that, Singularity was so impressed by the work that we did with them that they actually invited us. They said, we have an opening there, our executive program that's taking place in December. This was in November 2015. In December, we have 2 openings. Do you guys want to come? We can give you a discounted rate, but you have to let us know right away and leave next week. So my one brother, Shane, was having his 3rd baby. He couldn't go. And I literally dropped everything that I had. And the next week I was in San Francisco doing my executive program at Singularity University, which was an absolutely amazing experience. I'm still in touch with a lot of the cohort and the alumni that I met there. And some of them are actually coming to speak at our Exponential Finance Summit now in 2021. So, we got involved there. We came back, started the chapter, which is a non-profit part of Singularity, and then bought the licenses to run Singularity in 2016 and held our first summit in 2017. And we've been running various summits and programs and educational experiences for leaders and future leaders in South Africa.
Brilliant. And I don't know if you know the root of doctor, the word doctor. Did you do Latin at school, Mick?
I didn't.
Yeah, but the root is docere, which means to teach. So doctors are actually primary teachers. They're not primary interventionists. They are there to teach you. They're there to teach and empower you to look after your own health, to ensure that you can take accountability and you can strengthen yourself. So that's why I'm so interested in teaching and education. And that's why I really want to get out this message out there that the power lies within you, that if you join a tribe or a community, you can make it happen for yourself. And your doctor's primary role is not to take accountability of your health. So tell us a little bit about AI education. What's happening in Africa with AI in terms of singularity, and how you're educating the masses because of this, obviously this pandemic, and what's happened from a digital age. What is happening with AI in Africa?
So I think AI is an incredibly interesting field that is going to become a multi-trillion-dollar industry in the next couple of years, and is ultimately affecting everything from the way we work to the way we play to the decisions we make. And there's a number of great initiatives happening in Africa. I don't know if you know, AI in Africa is one organization that you just mentioned in your question. So they teach kids in Africa, they teach young girls, they do curriculums around AI education in schools. And they're doing incredible things in the schools, actually teaching young females how to code and how to develop using AI. So I think that's really exciting. Then I think there's a lot of startups, and there's an incredible AI startup ecosystem happening in South Africa and Africa, where you've got some really smart data scientists or guys that are finishing from WITS that are starting their own AI companies, and because it's such a new technology, they can compete with some of the big guys. And then you have the big guys that are doing also incredible things in the machine learning space. A lot of the legal firms are embracing AI in South Africa. How do they use it to speed up their processes and optimize? And then for us personally, we have a massive focus around bringing investment into AI in Africa this year. So we have an Exponential Finance Summit coming up on the 28th to the 30th of July, where we've invited some of the top VCs and investors from around the world that invest in various AI companies or AI initiatives, as well as other technologies, as well as VR and AR and blockchain and crypto and IoT and biotech. So we're bringing all these different investors to Exponential Finance and showcasing some companies. And one of them is an AI company that we'll be showcasing to these investors. Because if we can get them a round of funding, then it really can help them on their journey forward. So I think we've got Prof. Tsidi Mawala that will be speaking at the summit around how to embrace the AI ecosystem and how to create more investment into AI. And we'll also be looking at some of the international AI institutes and how they are raising funds into their countries, like in the Nordics and places like that.
Great, but let's sort of just deconstruct it a little bit, Mick. The feedback that I've got on the podcast is speak to me like I'm a 12-year-old or like I'm an 8-year-old. If someone's listening out there and you need to sort of summarize and distill.
You're lucky you've got some 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds. Are you going to have a long-standing audience?
How could you simplify? What is AI?
So AI is, it's actually giving the machines a certain level of intelligence that humans, to perform tasks that humans would do. So, an algorithm, if you think of what is an algorithm is just a process of tasks in an order to create an outcome. So pretty much brushing your teeth is an algorithm, because when you wake up in the morning, you've got to pull the first thing is you've got to grab the toothbrush, then you've got to put on the toothpaste, then you got to brush your teeth, and you got to go from the one side to the other side and do circles for a few minutes. Hope the 8-year-olds are getting this right now, because this is important. and then once you've cleaned your whole mouth, the outcome is you have a fresh set of teeth. So it's the same. That's an algorithm, and that's how AI works. There's different forms of AI, and AI has developed over time to become a lot more intuitive and have different processes, and different algorithms are being created with different sets of AI. So Imagine you get the electric toothbrush is the next level of, and it cleans your teeth even better in a shorter time. So this artificial intelligence is progressing at these incredible speeds, and a lot of it has to do with data. So an AI algorithm, for an algorithm to actually work really well, it needs a lot of data to understand what the outcome's meant to be. So what we've done is we've given the machine, the computer, eyes and ears. And now that the computer can see and hear, it can pull in a lot of this data and start understanding it with natural language processing, and then create these algorithms that spit out these models.
So the person out there who's 12 or 80, how does AI actually change their lives practically? People have got fear about AI, that the machines are going to take over. We've obviously got these futurists. They're looking, saying it's going to replace employment. What do you say about this new digital age? Is it going to be similar to the industrial age? Do people have to fear AI? And how do they embrace AI?
So our view is that you need to embrace exponential technologies because they actually empower us as humans and they augment our intelligence and our abilities. So the more we embrace these technologies, the quicker we can grow and improve our own lives. That's how we sort of like to look at these different technologies. If you actually think about it, AI has been around for many years, and it's been helping us in many ways, and we don't even see it because it's invisible. But AI is helping you when you're booking that flight. And you're trying to find that cheapest flight, you don't realize it, but there's AI behind that helping you. When you're watching Netflix and you're trying to find a movie that you're actually into, you don't realize it, but AI is helping you make a better decision. So we have AI already deep in our lives, in our different behaviors. And the magic of AI is that when it's good, you don't actually even see it, and it just helps you. So we believe that AI is going to help us, and it's going to create more jobs. If you look at technology over the last 70 years, technology has created more jobs than it's taken away. And automation has actually created more work and better work. And the whole concept is that we want to get rid of the jobs that are menial and that, that aren't actually that meaningful or give you some sort of fulfillment. And that's what the AI is going to help us. And the AI is actually going to augment our intelligence and make us a lot smarter and a lot more capable as humans. So we really embrace AI.
So is there research on this, Mick? I mean, people have got a lot of fear with what's happening. Has the data been sort of extrapolated? The Peter Diamanduses of the world and the Ray Kurzweils of the world, do they know the data of what's happening in this digital age?
Yeah, so I think if you look in the past, the data shows that technology has created more jobs than it's taken away. I think there was a study done in the UK where they looked at thousands of jobs over the last 100 of years and how they've evolved and changed. And, a lot of the jobs that have gone away have been like nurses and things like that in the past. And farming has been a job that's sort of deteriorated. But there has been a net increase in jobs due to technology. There's also been a lot of studies by the big consulting firms around this, around how there's this job creation through technology. What is the second part to your question, sorry?
I think really just looking at, people like the founders of Singularity University, like Peter Diamandis and Kurzweil, they've got long history in terms of what AI has been doing. It's obviously been far more propagated in the US, and just to allay people's fears, because people have got a lot of fear with regards to AI, and you're going to have sort of implanted chips, and it sounds like biohacking to a large degree, and biohacking is looking at the data, looking at assessing your internal and external environment. You need technology, you need algorithms to do that. Just looking at your heart rate is part of AI, the way I see it, and
yes, exactly.
how you exercise with your heart rate variability, your HRV, how important that is. That's data, that's an algorithm there that's been set up. Measuring your sleep at night, your REM sleep, your deep sleep, your total sleep, is basically based on AI and how empowering that can be for people and individuals with regards to performance and health. But what are the guys in the US saying with regards to AI?
Yeah, so I mean, Ray Kurzweil currently sits in a lab in Google. I don't know where exactly, but his main role at Google, he's been helping a lot with the the AI speech recognition of Google's AI assistant. So a lot of that work in the background that's been happening that you don't see is from Ray, actually, with Google. And I heard Ray talk in San Francisco just before the lockdown, and he was speaking about that the level of data that we are receiving now is coming at us so fast that it's more than doubling the rate of the increase of the way AI is progressing exponentially. So AI is evolving at a much faster rate than was expected originally, which is pretty amazing. And you know, he thinks that Ray Kurzweil predicts that by 2029 we'll be able to reverse engineer the human brain, and the computer will be as smart as a human. And by 2045, the computer power will be so great that we'll be able to reverse engineer the entire human race, 9 billion people. And there's going to be a technological singularity emerging between man and machine.
Wow.
And then everything's going to be different. So that's why they actually started Singularity University. Peter Diamandis met with him and said, there's no place where people learn about all these technologies and the impact that it's going to have on all our lives. So they started SU with this mission, and how do you use these technologies to solve some of the big problems in the world, like water, education, governance, prosperity. And Peter Diamandis, the other founder of Singularity, talks about mindset a lot. And like what you were saying is that, you know, if you believe you're going to live to 150 years old, you need to have a longevity mindset. But a longevity mindset is not something that you just have. It's not one day you wake up and you got a longevity mindset. You need to work at it. You need to look at your watch, use that AI to help understand how your sleep patterns are going, use the AI to understand your food intake, look at your muscle mass. One of the biggest reasons for aging is losing muscle mass. So how do you continue growing your muscle mass? So it's really about using the technology to help your mindset to you know, improve your life. That's what Peter's been talking about. And you know, you can have an exponential mindset, an abundance mindset, a longevity mindset, all these different mindsets that you need to continually work at and use the technology to help you get further in them.
Great. And now my son is 17 years old, and he's been running his business for the last 2-3 years in the digital media space, digital consulting space. He's loving it. He's actually left St. Stithians now. He's part of the Cambridge system because there's a lot more time and it's a lot more online work and that. But what do you say to the youth? How are you going to get this AI sort of education into the schools? Is school going to change? What is your view on education with regards to the youth of today? And where do you see it going in 5 years' time?
So I think education is, we're seeing a seismic shift in education and the way education is distributed and done. You know, even if you just think about this podcast, this is education to your community and your listeners, as well as, you know, for the youth, they have multiple learning channels and paths now. And we believe that, you know, you have to have this whole mindset of lifelong learning, because, you know, even when you're 80, you need to be learning new things, because if you're going to be living to 150 and you're going to have a healthy life and you know, have a healthy body at 80, you're going to need to be able to create a new career or some way to create an economy for yourself. So you know, education needs to be lifelong learning, and it really I believe the future belongs to the youth. It's, you know, because of the access to education now, the youth are learning much quicker, much faster, and with the acceleration of virtual reality, it's much more immersive learning. So the youth can now learn skills that were not available until you were 28. You know, if you want to get into a biotech lab that you have to study for years and years and years until you can get there, you can get a 6-year-old now playing with a VR headset inside that lab with the same centrifuges and the same equipment, and you know, and not have any risk of them breaking anything, because if it, you know, it's not a physical object. So now when you have a 6-year-old learning what a 28-year-old is only learning, how does that change the dynamic of the youth? And I believe that the youth are going to be the main entrepreneurs of the future. The youth are going to be, you know, creating the next type of company or the next type of game that we don't know about yet, that's going to, you know, capture the hearts and minds of the world. For our Exponential Finance Summit on the 28th to the 30th of July, we're actually bringing a VC firm called 1517, where they only invest in founders under 18. So they only invest in the youth because they believe the youth have the right ideas for the future. And so they actually invested in Vitalik Buterin. I don't know if you know Vitalik. He was the founder of Ethereum.
Yes.
They found him when he was a young kid. I think he was 16, 17, gave him the funding to build Ethereum, and then the rest is history there. And they've got a number of stories like that. So I really believe that the youth have the ideas, and we need to embrace them and empower them more to come up with these companies, because, and I don't think it's only going to be one way. I do believe there's going to be, the older generation, because we're living longer, healthier, there's going to be a duality. Both sides are going to grow. So the economies are going to grow on both sides of the scale, for the youth and for the older generation. So I don't think it's going to be just the youth. The youth are going to be creating incredible products, but it will also be for the older generation.
So those older listeners that are listening now, you got a lifelong learning mindset. That's incredible. You got to carry on learning. My son said he's learned more from YouTube than he's learned from his schooling years, which is a blow to the financial gut of his father, but that's okay. He's learned a lot. He spends hours and hours learning, which is the most important. But now tell us about traditional universities, those that are listening, becoming a CA, becoming a lawyer. What's going to happen to those degrees? Should people even go into those, becoming a doctor? How does that work? And what are the big corporates going to do with regards to hiring?
So I think definitely, if you look at the way the professionals are changing, the doctor, you still need doctors. You're going to need doctors, but just the role of the doctor will change. So, just even for me, if I think about it, I got treated by a doctor on Zoom yesterday, and it was a fantastic experience. It was a full treatment, and I didn't have to drive to the doctor or anything. So, I think the professional industries are changing, but the professionals are being empowered by the technology. If you look at a surgeon, a heart surgeon is no longer just a heart surgeon. He's now a VR specialist, and through the Da Vinci robot, he can go into a machine and use with scissor precision, do the operation without any risk of damaging the patient by shaking or maybe, sweating or something. It completely mitigates the risk and empowers the surgeon to become a virtual reality specialist. So his role has evolved, but you still need his role. So I think, in the near future, we're going to be really empowered by these technologies. In the far future, it's still unknown what will happen. So, I think in the near future, we'll definitely need all of these roles still, but they are evolving and changing, and the accountant will be empowered. He won't have to do the menial tasks and the admin tasks that he's normally used to, but he might use that extra time to make a more meaningful contribution to your own account.
Sounds incredible. Mick, tell us about your biohacking, your biotech sort of mindset, what you're doing with regards to longevity. I'm aiming to live to 150 years. I'm doing rectal insufflation, ozone. I'm doing infrared sauna, which is my favorite space. I'm checking my heart rate variability every day. I'm doing cold plunges. I'm changing my brain through all these nootropics and that. Tell us about Mic Mann and his biotech and his biohacking.
So I'm trying to get a good night's sleep every night. That's an important thing. At least get a couple of hours of sleep. I think that's hugely important. I think sleep is probably one of the best things for our health. That's underrated. So that's, I don't know if you've heard of Matthew Walker's book.
Yes, Why We Sleep. We speak a lot about sleep. It's one of the pillars in terms of Made to Thrive, but knowing the numbers again and using the algorithms to know exactly. People think they get a good night's sleep, but actually they're getting no REM sleep. There's rapid eye movement sleep, which is very good for cognitive sort of abilities. Yes. Deep sleep, which is really good for restorative and muscle repair and regeneration. Okay, so sleep and how do you biohack your sleep?
I've got this app called The Sleep. I use that quite a lot, and I've been trying to get this bed. It's called the 8 Sleep. Have you heard of 8 Sleep?
I've heard of 8 Sleep. We do one of their one of their competitors called the Ula. It's the chili pad that Tim Ferriss put on the market. So we one of the affiliates on that. It can cool your bed. It can heat your bed. I'd love
to get that. Yeah.
It's something that my wife misses when she's on holiday because she's more on the colder side, so she heats up her side. I cool
Are
down
you
my
serious?
side. Yeah. It's
Wow.
got 2 zones in that, and incredible history because Tim Ferriss really invested in them early, as well as some of the doctors in the US. Incredible product as well. So sleep and temperature is very, very important. Obviously, Matthew Walker being the go-to guy there.
Yeah, then I think obviously the cold baths is a huge thing. My brother's got a cold bath that I go to have a little dip in. So I think that's unbelievable in terms of its benefits. I used to do it before COVID. There was a cold bath facility quite close to my house, so I used to do that quite often. I think that's an incredible thing. I think also what you eat, what you put in your body, massively important. Cut out the sugar. The sugar is probably one of the enemies of the world, and that's something hard for me because I love chocolate. So that's, I think sugar's probably one of the worst things in the world. But it's hard to get away from it because it's so addictive. And I just think it's also about what you put into your brain in terms of inputs. Like, what are you reading? What are you looking at? Who are you learning from? Like, I think just hearing what you're doing, I would say people must listen to you if they want a longevity mindset, because it sounds like you are much more advanced than me. I actually want to have a separate call.
Yeah, sure.
More tips on what to do.
But I mean, you're in that space, you're mixing with these guys, these guys are looking to live for a very long time. Peter Diamandis related to Dave Asprey. Dave Asprey is looking to live to 180. The biotech space.
Aubrey
de Grey, the longevity specialist, the type of exercise. We speak about exercise, but I've listened to a lot of Aubrey de Grey. Also, eccentric exercise. If you're going to be lifting weights, make sure that you do eccentric muscle contraction. That's very, very important for longevity. We're going to try and get him on the podcast as well. But a lot of these guys
Aubrey.
We really are trying to get up.
I can get you Aubrey. He's a good friend of mine. Yeah, he's created a system called Sense, where he's worked out that if you can swap out body parts like you swap out a car, then you can actually increase your lifespan dramatically. So his platform and system Sense is going to be, his goal is to create these sort of rejuvenation centers where you'll go and you'll swap out your parts and get new parts and be much younger again. And he created this term called longevity escape velocity. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes.
So we're a certain time where we start gaining a year on our lifespan every year. So if your average life expectancy is 98, when we reach longevity escape velocity, every year it goes up a year. So you just continue to live longer.
Yeah, he's connected with Dave Asprey from Bulletproof Radio, and those guys are in very similar circles with Peter Diamandis and looking at the latest tech and, the different drugs that they're using, like rapamycin to help you extend telomere length. And so they're big into it. And I can see quite easily that those with resources are actually going to be able to possibly get to the 180 and the 200, which creates a different mindset, the longevity mindset that you mentioned. And tell us a little bit more.
Think how many careers we can have, and think how many different jobs and different industries we can work in, and different skills we can acquire and attain. And life can be so much more diverse in terms of what we actually how we evolve in this world. And if you think about what's coming with the metaverse, that's really, really exciting, because we're going to be living as multiple different beings, as different people in different metaverses, and really enjoying the time in those metaverses. So that's really exciting as a space.
Sure. Maybe you want to expand on that. That's something I haven't heard about, metaverse, in terms of we're talking about having these different lives or different realities in the same space.
Yeah. So, I think what's happening in the world is that gaming has really exploded in the world. And we've seen, with Fortnite and Roblox, and it's become more than just a game. It's a social environment. It's a concert. It's millions of people are gathering in these virtual spaces. But now, with the convergence and the enablement of blockchain technology, it completely changes the game of gaming, because you now have persistence in the world of gaming, and you have persistence in the metaverse, in the virtual reality. So, you can, with this new type of blockchain gaming, you can, in the past, you would buy a skin in Fortnite and the game owns the skin. You don't own that skin, and if the game wants to change something, they can, and you have no say. Now with blockchain gaming, when you buy that skin in the game, it goes into your wallet, you own it, you can sell it on a secondary market. So it becomes actually an investment.
Wow.
And it becomes something that you can use. And now there's also play to earn gaming. So you can play these games and earn real money.
Wow.
So
Like
I've
an
been playing this
NFT,
game
or you're
called
talking about a NFT, a non-fungible, what do they call it, asset? Or
Yes. So this thing that's been the craze of 2021 is NFTs, non-fungible tokens.
yeah,
The whole idea behind it is that fungible means it can be recreated. Non-fungible means it's unique. So, Bitcoin is fungible because you can create more Bitcoins, but an art piece that's one of a kind is non-fungible because it's a one of a kind. It's all stored on the blockchain, so it's completely tracked and immutable and unbreakable. It can't be hacked. So it becomes yours. So there's true ownership and there's true persistence. So if you think about it in the virtual world, if there's a cat in a virtual world walking from one place to the next, and it's an NFT cat, it's a one of a kind, that cat is in one place in the world. And if you're in the real world and you put your virtual reality headset on and you see that cat, you've now made a wormhole between the real and the virtual world, because both of those things exist in that reality in real time.
Okay.
So they're only in that one space. So that's what's this new enablement of the blockchain is creating this convergence between the real and the virtual world. And new economies that are going to start coming out. So it's probably, for me, it's one of the most exciting spaces I've seen in a long time.
So you could have 7 worlds, Mick. You could wake up for 8 to 10, you got one world, 11 to 1, you got another world, and then you can create and you can receive money on the blockchain. Now, Dr. Jack Kruse, who speaks about decentralized medicine and decentralized finance, trying to tap out of these central systems. Is that the way it's going? Decentralized finance and decentralized worlds, where you got different type of sort of organizations that you tap into.
Yeah, I totally believe it's definitely going that way. There's this thing called the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which is a great idea of an organization that's run decentralized, and it's up to the community to make decisions on where the direction of the company goes. So you get to buy governance tokens, and there's different weightings depending on the rules that are created in the DAO that give you either, you need to be a certain amount of activity in the community. And we're seeing this pop up. And, we had Nathaniel Calhoun speak about this 2-3 years ago, the DAO. And now we're seeing billions of dollars being poured into DAOs. He's actually coming back to exponential finance to talk about an update on that. But I think that's all going this way because it is a better system. It's a safer system. It's incentivized by the user, based on what you have in the DAO is your incentive, and it feels like a much better way of living and working. Since once you get involved in it, you can start to see.
Great. I've got 2 last sort of pillars that I want to work out, and one is purpose. The research shows that if you wake up with purpose, you can wake up saying TGIM, which is Made to Thrive's acronym. Thank God it's Monday. And my tribe is not waiting for weekends, and they're not waiting for holidays, because you've got a purpose in life that you want to live out. That's where your meaning, that's where your contentment comes, that's where your fulfillment comes. Tell us, what is Mic Mann's purpose?
That's quite a deep question. I mean, my purpose is to try and make a dent in this world, and to try and make a positive dent in the world, so that I can, help evolve consciousness and human beings in as many ways as I can.
That sounds incredible.
Currently, we're trying to future-proof Africa to make sure that we can create a community of change makers across Africa and the world who can embrace these technologies and become leaders in this digital transformation.
Future-proof Africa. Tell us a little bit more, because you've got a heart for Africans. I can see that. That's also why I resonate with you, because you've really stuck it out here. Many people have left this country and this continent because sometimes the green is greener, the grass is greener, and the hedge has been cut well, and the fence is working, and the streets are clean. But why have you got such a heart for Africa, and what do you mean by future-proof Africa?
I think that I've just always believed that, growing up here my whole life and being born a South African, I've been, always very proud of this little continent down in the south. And, I just believe that we've got so much untapped potential in Africa. And if you look at the markets in the world, Africa is the next market that everyone's vying for and wants to, you know, it's developing, and there's huge potential with over, you know, there's 1 billion people in Africa. So as a continent, we are a force to be reckoned with. It's just up to the right people to try help educate, empower, and inspire this untapped potential. So, you know, I think that we have a great opportunity to lead the way during this technology transformation, because if we don't get involved, future-proof Africa means if we don't wake up and if we don't create this continual lifelong learning cycle and this flywheel effect of investment into new innovation and new ideas, we're going to be left in the dust, to be honest. Because this new wave of technological transformation, if we look back at the electromechanical era, when the countries that embraced electricity and the coal mines, they became the leaders in the world, and the countries that didn't became these, you know, third world countries. So this next wave is going to be much greater, the disparity created, which, you know, if we don't get involved, we're going to be left behind. So I believe we have to do it right now, and to do that, we will future-proof Africa.
Sounds incredible. Last pillar, that's, well, the two most important pillars in terms of, you know, initiating people's change in their lives, from their food to their diet to their sleep to their nutrition. One is purpose, because you need to wake up with that purpose. If you don't have a purpose, well, why are you going to say no to that chocolate? Why are you going to say no to that donut again? And why are you going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and exercise when it's cold and wet out there? You do need a purpose. The second is community, the people that you trust, the people that can, you know, serve your needs and you can serve them, that you can reach out and that you can just surround yourself about these people that believe in you. Tell us about Mic Mann's purpose in terms of regards to his community, the people that you love, the people that you trust. How important are those communities and tribes that you belong to?
Interesting question. Yeah, I think the future, also what we're seeing now as we're evolving into these different versions of Web 1, 2, Web 3.0, its community is becoming a very important factor, and the network, the strength of the network, is hugely important for creating value and for connections. You know, I'm sure you know about the network effect. You know, the stronger, the more connections added. Metcalfe's law, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. You know, it's hugely important for us, and I feel blessed with our community, our Singularity University community around the globe. We have partners in multiple countries, and I feel like Singularity is this living, breathing algorithm. There's just these incredible, smart people that are learning and sharing and resharing, and you know, it's just evolving this community in such a great way. And you know, community is hugely important. In South Africa, we have a fantastic community that you know, and with some amazing stories of people that have engaged with us and have been taking part in our different programs and changed their lives and changed their careers and wanting to go out and make a big difference in the world. And that means everything for us. So, you know, I've got a friend who's a very prominent lawyer. He's gone out and he's created 6 technology companies now over the last year, all that are that are profitable and on track to becoming really big companies. So, you know, that's we've had, you know, government organizations change some of their investment strategies based on what they've heard at some of our experiences. So that for us is incredible. If we can effect positive change within the community, then at least we are doing our small part in evolving the world in a positive way.
Fantastic. One of my favorite sort of voices out there is Naval Ravikant, a VC, who said suffering is the seed of change. And the suffering that we're going through in South Africa and Africa, does that, you know, initiate and inspire a lot of change and development? Because life is tough. It's a bipolar life that we live here. Sometimes it's so tough and sometimes it's really sort of easy. But tell us about suffering of South Africans and how that's going to change and help people, you know, innovate and become world innovators. You know, I think of, you know, I've had John Sane on the podcast, Teddy Bletcher on the podcast, part of faculty at Singularity University. They really want to bring around change because there's a lot of people suffering on this continent.
Yeah, I think the suffering is real, and it's you know, it's very harsh. These stories that we hear all the time, and just some of the basic things we need to get right in South Africa and Africa to solve some of these bigger problems. So I think it's an ongoing process, and it's it's about action. And I think there are a lot of people taking action. Sorry about that.
No,
there are a lot of people taking action in South Africa and Africa, and it's just a process. We really we have a goal to try alleviate poverty within the next 15 years in South Africa. So that's one of our missions that we're also driving with government. So it's really about how do we improve the lives of everybody and create a certain level of UBR for all. And Ray Kurzweil predicts that in the early 2030s, there'll be basic UBR for all the developed nations. And then by the late 2030s, the whole world will have basic UBR. So basic levels of universal basic income, or levels of education or housing or services or healthcare. There'll be UBR across all of it.
Fantastic. I find this stuff really fascinating. Tell us a little about Singularity South Africa, this exponential finance summit that you're going to have, where people can tap into Singularity, how they can connect sort of with this tribe and this community that are really educating, empowering, inspiring. I love that mission statement on the Singularity website, but how can people connect?
So you can go to SingularityUSouthAfrica.org if you want to go to our website, and you can subscribe and you'll get notified of all our communications. We also have our Exponential Finance Summit coming up on the 28th to the 30th of July. It's really focused around creating this investment innovation ecosystem in South Africa and Africa, as I said, with some amazing speakers that will be attending, over 60 international and local leading edge thought leaders, from the likes of Kathy Wood from ARK Invest to Adam Volkin from General Catalyst Partners, an ex-South African, amazing guy, to Kojo Annan from Ghana, Kofi Annan's son, who's also got a fund for Africa. We've got, there'll be a number of people there that you can come and attend, and we'll be showcasing 8 South African companies to these investors to try and raise them investment at the Exponential Finance Summit. So that's exponentialfinance.co today. We also have our open learning channels on YouTube, Exponential Africa, which is our YouTube show, where we also do some interviews with some bleeding edge practitioners. And then, we have our executive programs for leaders that are around the corporate leaders that want to really understand how to become leaders of the future and make those right decisions when in those board meetings. So that's more for the exec level. And then our faculty this year, we are planning a faculty schools roadshow to go and educate the youth, on some of these different technologies, and to just open their minds up to the possibilities of biotechnology or artificial intelligence or 3D printing, or the future of work. All these different industries. Virtual reality is something really, really that's going to be changing the game.
Fantastic. That roadshow, we must get the dates or when that's going to happen. We can let the Made to Thrive community know. I think that's going to be incredible. Well, I salute you, Mic Mann. I'm a huge fan of you and your work and just your voice. I've watched a lot of your videos, and it's not only the elite that you're reaching out, it's those that don't have much in their lives, but you can educate and inspire them. And you're an inspiring voice. And I thank God that you're in South Africa and in Africa. I trust you've had a little baby now, so your own community's changed. That's a little bit of a whirlwind, but thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. And the last question that I ask all my guests, and it's something that's really important to me because it's sort of the foundation of my future book that I'm writing, is that people institute changes in their lives. They start exercising more, they start eating better, and they do that often when they get sick or they get a disease. But then what happens is 6 months later, 9 months later, they're back to their old ways. And how would you help people? What advice would you give to people to help them sustain their transformation? I mean, the research is so emphatic that 80 to 95% of people that lose weight will regain the weight within 5 years and even put more weight back on. How do people sustain their transformation according to Mic Mann?
So that's a great question. I would say it comes down to self-awareness. And Ray Dalio talks a lot about this, which I think is incredible, is around that as human beings, we have this unique ability to actually pull ourselves out of our own bodies and look down at the situation and create awareness about what is actually happening, and not giving into and being aware of that short-term result versus the long-term goal. So if you have your long-term goals, constantly put them up on the walls, constantly remind yourself of your long-term goal, because when that short-term bait comes at you, you need to just constantly remind yourself of that long-term goal. That's what I try to do, is look at the bigger picture all the time, because we have a lot of distraction in the world and a lot of factors always coming at us every moment. So how do we keep this idea of long-term thinking? Try, stick to your long-term goal, be disciplined. I think it also relates to our habits. There's a great book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I read that when I was 16, and that really changed my life, that book. And I think that is, it's really, if you see yourself getting into a negative habit, it's about being aware and identifying that, and then correcting it so that it doesn't become a behavior again, because it's very easy to slip back into our old behaviors. So it's really the sense of awareness and using our ability as humans, to pull ourselves out of our environment and look from above, and actually try to look at the bigger picture, like Ray says.
Fantastic. Mic Mann, you sound like a Stoic. That's one of my Stoic philosophies, following the ancient wisdom of the Stoics and my heritage in mainland Greece and the Mediterranean area. So thank you for your time. I wish you well. I wish you the best. If any way I can support you and your cause, I'd be gratefully part of this whole Singularity University. And so take care, and thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.